Today, I'll be discussing the impact of the Jones Act on Guam, a U.S. territory located in the Pacific Ocean. While most of us might be familiar with the Jones Act in the context of its effects on the U.S. mainland, the law has a particularly unique and often detrimental impact on Guam's economy. The Jones Act, also known as the Merchant Marine Act of 1920, regulates maritime shipping in U.S. waters, but for Guam, the law is more of a double-edged sword, providing protections for some industries while creating significant challenges for others. In this presentation, I'll explore the background of the Jones Act, its impact on Guam, and the potential long-term consequences of its continued enforcement. The Jones Act has shaped Guam's economic landscape in ways that both support and slowed growth. While it protects American maritime interests, its regulations have created high transportation costs and limited economic development, posing challenges for Guam's businesses and residents. Today, I'll take a deeper dive into these effects, from the past to present, and consider how the future may unfold for the U.S. territory. To fully understand the importance of the Jones Act to Guam, we first need to look at the history of the law and the economic context of the island itself. The Jones Act was passed by Congress in 1920 with the goal of promoting the U.S. maritime industry and ensuring national security. Under this law, goods that are transported by sea between U.S. ports must be carried on ships that are built, owned, and operated by U.S. citizens or permanent residents. Essentially, it restricts foreign competition in the U.S. shipping industry. For the U.S. mainland, the law generally means a protected domestic shipping market and a strong maritime workforce. However, for U.S. territories like Guam, the situation is different. Guam is located over 3,000 miles from the nearest U.S. state, Hawaii, and is heavily reliant on the shipping for both imports and exports. As a result, the Jones Act creates unique challenges for the island's economy. Because the law restricts foreign vessels from entering the trade route between Guam and the U.S. mainland, shipping between the two is limited to U.S. flagged ships. These ships, however, are typically more expensive to operate than foreign ships, meaning the cost of transporting goods is higher for Guam residents and businesses. This has led to significant increases in the cost of living and has made it harder and harder for businesses on the island to grow and compete. One of the most significant moments in the history of the Guam Jones Act came in 2018, when debates over the law's impact reached a high point. The U.S. government began to consider whether it might offer exemptions or even repeal the law for U.S. territories like Guam. This sparked a major discussion among local policymakers, business owners, and residents. Proponents of repealing or exempting the law argued that it would lower transportation costs, create a more competitive business environment, and foster economic growth. On the other hand, opponents of such changes, including the member of the U.S. maritime industry, warned that doing so could threaten national security by weakening the U.S. merchant fleet and its ability to operate in the Pacific, an area of strategic military importance. It's important to understand that the Jones Act isn't just an economic law, it also tied to national defense policy, ensuring that the U.S. has control over shipping lanes and the ability to transport goods in case of military conflict or emergency. For Guam, the debate over the Jones Act became a high-stake issue, as an island economic future was tied to the possibility of significant reforms. The discussion in 2018, although still ongoing, underscored the complexity of balancing local economic needs with broader national concerns. Now, let's take a closer look at the short-term effects of the Jones Act on Guam. The most immediate and noticeable impact has been the cost of living. Due to the law's restrictions, goods shipped to Guam are often more expensive than they would be if foreign shipping companies were allowed to enter the market. Everything from groceries to electronics to building materials cost more because the ships that bring them to the island are limited in numbers and must meet strict U.S. regulations, which drive up the prices. For small businesses, this has created significant barriers to entry. Many local businesses struggle to compete with larger mainland-based companies that can ship goods more cheaply. In some cases, this has meant that local businesses are forced to pass on higher prices to consumers, or worse, close down altogether because they simply can't afford to operate under the Jones Act restrictions. At the same time, some sectors of Guam's economy, particularly its shipping industry, have benefited from the protections of the Jones Act. Local shipping companies that comply with the law have a much less competitive market to contend with, allowing them to secure contracts and continue operations. However, the overall economy remains hampered by the law's broader impact. Looking to the future, the long-term impacts of the Jones Act on Guam's economy could be profound, regardless of whether the law remains in place or is modified. If the law is reformed or repealed, Guam could see a significant reduction in shipping costs, which could lead to lower prices for goods and a more vibrant economy. With reduced transportation costs, businesses would have more room to grow and innovate, attracting investments and possibly spurring new industries to take root on the island. In the long run, lower shipping costs could help diversify Guam's economy, which has historically relied on military spending, tourism, and a small retail sector. Reducing the financial burden on local industries could lead to new job opportunities, more competition, and a more sustainable economic future for the island. However, if the Jones Act remains in place, Guam may continue to face challenges in the coming decades. High shipping costs could keep the cost of living on the island above the national average, limiting the purchasing power of the local residents and making it difficult for businesses to thrive. This island's economy may continue to struggle with inequality, with certain industries benefiting from law while others remain stunted by it. In conclusion, the Guam Jones Act has a significant impact on the island's economic development, with both positive and negative consequences. While the law has protected U.S. maritime interests, it also created barriers for businesses, resulting in higher costs and slower growth for the people of Guam. As the debate around the law continues, it's clear that Guam's future is inextricably tied to whether the U.S. government will amend or lift the restrictions. Ultimately, finding a balance between protecting national security, promoting economic growth, and addressing the unique needs of the U.S. territories like Guam will be crucial in ensuring a sustainable future for the island and its people.